Everyone, welcome to Naturally Immune for Life. Sorry, I was unplugging my headphones. I hope you're all doing well. Am I still gloating from last week's amazing discovery? Yes, but just a little. So today I thought I would go back to the beginning, so to speak, and share about page from Naturally Immune for Life, which I've added the final results from last week in the FMT and diabetes type 1 and type 2 and all of that. And I'll share a few things I did want to cover and finish before I decide what the next chapter is going to be. But if you'll go to the About page on Naturally Immune for Life, why early nutrition and gut health matter. Naturally Immune for Life focuses on the core foundations of health, specifically nutrition, gut health, and immunity. Research shows that by addressing these early life factors, up to 90% of chronic conditions can be prevented or reversed. The World Health Organization has stated that breastfeeding, food security, and clean water are critical for building a strong immune system and preventing malnutrition. These factors help develop a healthy microbiome, especially a type of bacteria called Bifidobacterium, longum, which protects against harmful infections in infants. And this is when I decided to write my book. And actually, my book is, I used to do a monthly magazine, and I put one topic at a time. And I used to include references at the end of the magazine. And basically, after I had 12, I pretty much had the whole story. So all I had to do was fill it out a little bit. And when the WHO came out with this groundbreaking document, that's when I knew that the story, that was the conclusion. And they set a hierarchy of values, and so that's when I knew it was time to stop looking for proof of concept and start focusing on sharing the pioneers who had actually been here long before this document even came out. So when this bacteria is missing early in life, children often develop a weak gut microbiome. This leads to malnutrition, poor energy absorption, weakened immunity, and a higher risk of infections. Even high-calorie foods and treatments can't always fix this problem if the gut isn't restored. And it's pretty much never. So this condition is known as SAM, severe acute malnutrition. Not everyone gets SAM. It's more in third world countries where they have all three risk factors involved, and they usually don't live very long because they die of diarrheal diseases. Foundational health, breastfeeding, nutrition, and clean water. The World Health Organization highlights 3 essential foundations for early life health: breastfeeding, nutritious food, and clean water. and sanitation. These are not just important for preventing hunger, they play a critical role in shaping a baby's developing immune system and gut health. Not just baby, but mammal. When babies are breastfed, they receive natural probiotics, especially a type called Bifidobacterium longum, that help establish a healthy gut microbiome. This early stage of gut development includes a temporary increase or bloom of good bacteria like Bifido, which helps crowd out harmful microbes. Over time, this gives way to a broader population of healthy anaerobic bacteria, creating what scientists call the healthy, mature anaerobic gut microbiota. This balanced microbiome is crucial for, and another thing Bifido does, breastfeeding for the infant. It helps turn off that Th2 response to prevent chronic inflammation. So anaerobic gut microbiota, HMAGM, is crucial for energy absorption from food, vitamin production inside the gut, a strong functional immune system. However, if a child is malnourished, especially if they're not breastfed or don't have access to clean food and water, this natural process is disrupted. One of the first signs is a drop in Bifido, which weakens the gut's ability to fight off pathogens. And as I said, this also helps switch the newborn from Th2 to homeostasis. If this continues, the child never develops a fully mature and functional gut microbiome. Without HMAGM, the body struggles to absorb nutrients, synthesize essential vitamins, or mount an effective immune defense. This can lead to serious outcomes like chronic diarrhea, severe malnutrition, and increased vulnerability to infections and systemic illness. So as I said, if you had all three of these risk factors, chances are pretty good you would not be making it to be an adult. What's especially concerning is that even when these children receive therapeutic food and medical treatment, it is not enough to restore their gut microbiota to a healthy state. Once disrupted, the microbiome can remain immature and underdeveloped, leading to lifelong effects on growth, brain development, and immune function. That's why long-term solutions must focus not just on food quantity, but on foundational support. Promoting breastfeeding, ensuring access to safe, clean water, and building food security that prioritizes gut and immune health from the very start. The invisible damage of malnutrition. Malnutrition doesn't just slow physical growth, it also harms brain development and long-term immunity. These effects can last a lifetime. Dr. Jeffrey Gordon, known as father of the microbiome, has shown that an immature microbiome in children can lead to serious health problems. Why gut health early in life matters. One of the most important discoveries in recent health research comes from Dr. Jeffrey Gordon, known as the father of the microbiome. His groundbreaking work has revealed a vital connection between malnutrition and gut microbiota, the community of healthy microbes that live in our digestive system and support overall health. Researchers found that malnourished children have gut microbiota that doesn't mature properly. Unlike their healthy peers, these children's microbiomes remain stuck in an immature state. even when their diets are supplemented with therapeutic foods, which increase calories and nutrients, nutrient-dense foods, their gut health doesn't fully recover. These foods help reduce deaths from starvation, but they don't fix the deeper issue, an underdeveloped gut ecosystem. Why does this matter so much? Because gut immaturity early in life has long-term consequences. It doesn't just slow physical growth. According to Gordon's research, perhaps more insidious than slowing growth is malnutrition's effect on less visible aspects of health, including impaired brain development and dysfunctional immunity, which follow these children throughout their lives. This means that the impact of malnutrition goes far beyond food. It alters how a child's body and brain develop and how well their immune system can protect them. These effects can last a lifetime. Fixing the problem takes more than just food. It requires restoring the right balance of microbes, especially those like Bifidobacterium longum, which are typically passed from mother to baby during breastfeeding. These microbes are critical for training the immune system, which is what I said. The baby is in one immune state, the mother is in another. Breastfeeding actually helps both of them switch back to homeostasis, or switch the infant to homeostasis and the mother back to homeostasis. Protecting against infections and supporting healthy digestion and brain development. This includes SIBO, which can begin in infancy and causes severe malabsorption and immune deficiencies in both children and adults. Although there is some growing evidence that SIBO is caused by E. coli, and of course that would probably lead back to poor sanitation. So it's still in the hierarchy. As well as chronic dysbiosis. And this is what I added to this as of last week. Gut microbiota dysbiosis is caused by a variety of mechanisms, including improper infant gut development from formula feeding, microbiome imbalance, immune dysregulation, pro-inflammatory mechanisms, and metabolic activities. And remember, we're talking about something that's chronic from the time you're born and not breastfed to up to and including now other causes of dysbiosis like antibiotic use, injections, drugs, poor diet, poor fats, whatever, alcohol. So dysbiosis leads to various T-cell related diseases, including rheumatoid arthritis, type 1 and type 2 diabetes, asthma, cardiovascular disease, inflammatory bowel disease, remembering now that IBD is an umbrella term encompassing a variety of inflammatory gut-related disorders, cancer, liver disease, psychiatric disorders. Now, basically, you can break this list down to pillars of disease. Rheumatoid arthritis in type 1 diabetes would be autoimmune. Asthma would be chronic breathing difficulties. Cardiovascular, that doesn't mean birth defects, it means developed cardio issues. And I actually saw one yesterday. What was it called? Cardio diabetes, cardio. I'll have to look it up, but it was combining three different three different diseases into one new word. So these are pillars of disease, okay? And just because you don't have RA doesn't mean this doesn't apply to you. That's the main point. You can have any autoimmune disease. So, despite the importance of understanding the microbiome T cell interactions, most immunology experiments have been performed with limited microbiome compositions, such as specific pathogen free or germ free mice. Experimental results using not a biotic, that is, specific colonized mouse models in the drug development stage, cannot fully represent humans. To address these limitations, a fecal microbiota transplant mouse model with a gut microbiota similar to that of humans was developed using human or wild mouse species. The FMT mouse model has an abundant and more diverse gut microbiota than current experimental animal models. Mice implanted with the wild mouse or human microbiota not only exhibit different degrees of microbial diversity, but their systemic immunity is also affected. So, what led to all this was the fundamental groundbreaking obesity, cause and reverse obesity just by transplanting healthy microbiota into an unhealthy mouse, or transplanting unhealthy microbiota into a healthy mouse. And then they developed obesity, and then they went on to pretty much do the same thing with a whole bunch of different other pillars of disease, other chronic diseases, and they found the same results. A better way, oral immune therapy. Did you know that the WHO recommends that most treatments, including vaccines, be given orally? Oral delivery works directly with the gut's immune system, GALT, gut and lymphoid tissue, causes fewer side effects, and is more accessible worldwide. This is important because all infections start with immune deficiency. Once the immune system is weakened, infections create even more immune suppression and malnutrition. Supporting the immune system from the inside out is the key to breaking this cycle. The problem with some modern treatments, current treatments for conditions like IBD, often involve drugs, injections that suppress the immune system. While they may reduce symptoms, they can also increase the risk of cancer and infections, and don't work for everyone. Some young patients with IBD don't want to be on long-term medications. Oral immune therapy, though not yet widely adopted, could offer a safer and more effective alternative by working with the body and not against it. And we know this was always there. Some countries always used oral vaccines and others didn't. So let me just give you the title of that particular finding there. Currently available treatments which target the systemic immune system induce immunosuppression, thereby exposing the patient to the risk of infections and malignancy. And that comes from Gastroenterology and Liver Units, Hebrew University, Jerusalem, Israel, 2016. And that was another factor. in me deciding it was time to publish my book. Okay, so what is immune tolerance? Your immune system needs to see clearly to know which cells to attack and which to leave alone. This ability is called immune tolerance. Without the sugar galactose found in milk, the immune system loses this clear vision. Galactose can be produced in other ways, but typically it's found in milk. Without the immune system loses this clear vision. Galactose is essential for brain development, cell communication, wound healing, and even cancer prevention. This balance can be thrown off, especially if certain immune pathways are blocked. Immune cells like macrophages and T helper cells, Th1, need to communicate through special signals like IFNY, interferon gamma, to clear infections and control inflammation. If this communication is blocked, especially by drugs that target immune checkpoints, it can cause a breakdown in immune self-tolerance. This makes your immune system more likely to attack your own tissues, leading to autoimmune side effects like rashes, colitis, hepatitis, and endocrine disorders like thyroid or adrenal issues. These effects are seen with some cancer drugs and immunotherapies, which interfere with immune checkpoints. These treatments can be powerful, but they also carry the risk of disturbing the body's natural balance and cause a new type of IBD called checkpoint blockade toxicity. And we're also talking about MAB drugs. New research on human milk sugars is helping us understand how these prebiotics support a healthy gut and strong immunity starting from birth. Immune boosts for the elderly. Whole milk from mammals can reactivate immune cells in older adults by restoring a function called phagocytosis, where immune cells eat harmful bacteria. Probiotics like acidophilus also boost this natural defense. Why food matters. Only real food can reach your mitochondria, the energy centers of your cells. These tiny engines power everything your body does. Nutrients, not drugs, feed them best. And the truth about sugar, does this mean because I said that dysbiosis is primarily lifelong chronic dysbiosis is primarily caused by not breastfeeding? Does that mean I'm going to say you can go out and eat all the sugar you want? No. So your body has no biological need for fructose, fruit sugar. It can make all the glucose it needs without it. Added sugar, especially in large amounts, harms the metabolism and contributes to chronic illness. So glucose is sucrose is a disaccharide comprised of 50% glucose and 50% fructose. In summary, by focusing on the root causes of chronic illness, nutrition, gut health, and immune development, up to 90% of chronic conditions can be prevented by supporting these systems early in life. Breastfeeding, food, and clean water are key to healthy gut development and strong immunity. Missing gut bacteria like Bifidobacterium longum in infancy leads to malnutrition, poor immunity, and long-term health issues. Oral therapies work better with the gut's immune system with fewer side effects. Many immune conditions like IBD are not fully resolved by drugs and may benefit from oral immune support. Sugars like galactose are essential for immune health and immune function and brain health. The elderly can boost their immune response with whole milk and probiotics and colostrum, of course. Real food, not drugs, fuels mitochondria. The body does not need fructose. Added sugar should be limited, especially in children. Stronger gut, better food, smarter immunity. That's the foundation of lifelong health. In 2005, only 10% of children in the US were breastfed. Only 40% of the world's children were breastfed in 2005. And that is infant formula statistics. Just for knowledge sake, I put class, mammal, taxonomic group, common characteristics, mammary glands, hair, fur, and being warm-blooded. And here is another crucial paper that helped me realize that this was coming. The end is coming. And there's no more need to keep reading 50 million papers a week. Milk, a postnatal imprinting system stabilizing FOXP3 expression and regulatory T cell differentiation. If you go back to last week's video, you'll see these as titled T cell related diseases. Accumulating evidence underlies that milk is a complex signaling and epigenetic imprinting network that promotes stable FOXP3 expression and long-lasting TREG differentiation, crucial postnatal events preventing atopic and autoimmune diseases. And that was from Clinical Translational Allergy 2016. So remember that human studies or infant studies cannot be ethically done regarding the development of a human microbiome and immune system. In some rare instances, specific formulas can be tried on premature infants in order to improve their chances of survival. So there we go. Breastfeeding, food security, and water security. There is the WHO paper if you want to purchase it. I don't know if that's free anywhere yet. There's the repeated studies about orally administered medicine, including vaccines. I also have about Kwashiorkor and the study that I believe it was twins. Yeah, twin pairs, 300. And they were treated with therapeutic foods, and they did fecal microbiota transplants into mice, and then produced marked weight loss in the recipient mice. And then when they gave them therapeutic foods, it did not ameliorate the condition. So that's Dr. Jeffrey Gordon. The infant microbiome development, mom matters, immune tolerance, checkpoint blockade toxicity, a new type of inflammatory bowel disease. That was also from 2017. And then finally, T cell related diseases. And that pretty much tells you almost the entire story. No, um, I did not cover autophagy very much, but my site is highly related to autophagy. Let me just remember that scientist's name and give proper credit where credit is due. And remind you that these are probably kind of related because I don't know if he knew this particularly, but um, breast mass formula feeding was first adopted in Japan around 1910. So they were among the longest on the planet to use formula. Hopefully, I have his name in here. I don't want to have to Google it. The Nobel Prize winner, Yoshinori Osumi. Okay. So he is, I've watched him before, and he has stated that his research, in part, his interest in part, was because of malnutrition and hunger as a child. So I don't particularly, I have never found out why the Japanese developed infant formula, why they used it so early, but I'm guessing possibly has to do with malnutrition. Malnourished mothers actually can't produce enough milk. So I think it was probably out of necessity on their part, but when it got to the 1950s, 40s, 50s, 60s in the US, it was not out of necessity. It was out of, I would call it malpractice, quite frankly. Doctors used to tell women that breast milk was disgusting, it was unsanitary, you didn't have to do it. And we also needed women for the war machine. So the reasons, necessity and convenience and what would be the word? Capitalism and graft are quite different from we have to develop this because mothers aren't producing enough milk and we don't have enough food. It's a big difference. And historically, I don't really see the Japanese acting like we do, although I'm not Japanese, so I can't say what people who live there think, but from generally, if they find something good for the population, it ends up in the grocery store, and they try to widely distribute it. And I've seen that many, many times with different food products and things like that, Discovery. They try to make it as widely available as possible and over the counter. So, okay. So I do have a ton of stuff on my site about autophagy and all of that. And I'm probably going to finish the vitamin deficiencies just because that generally interests people, and people should think of that more often than they do. And remember that vitamins are produced in the gut, majority of them. And I'm also going to add some proven things about castor oil, and I also am going to add it to my favorite products. And I'm also going to add it to the recent story I did about wrinkles. I can't remember the title, but I meant to add it because it is a superior moisturizer, and I meant to add it to that particular scientific remedies for wrinkles, because castor oil does get absorbed very deeply into skin, and there are some proven, not necessarily for what people are using it for, but today, I mean, most people are using it today to for their grow long eyelashes and all that stuff. That's not really doesn't really do that the way people think it does, or as good as people think it does. But it does do other things that people probably don't think about, that they should think about, put it that way. Okay, so at least I have a few more things I want to finish, and then um, I don't know if I'm going to be looking for a collaboration exposure organically, or if I'm going to pay to promote this site. I haven't decided yet. My YouTube channel, I mean. But don't forget, I have Gut Fix 101, and there's really no reason why this channel doesn't have a million views, because it's the end of the story. And as I showed last week, diabetes type 1 and type 2 was the final stone to be unturned on what was playing the most critical role in even those diseases. And it turns out it is indeed the gut. And in the source I showed, there is an increase of type 1 diabetes, and that's quite alarming. And they do specifically mention that this has to be an environmental factor. And remember, not breastfeeding is an environmental factor. So, okay, everyone, and it also leads to more environmental factors because you have no protection against anything. So, okay, everyone, that wraps it up for this week. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you next time. Bye.